Hey, this is Antonio. Welcome back to my channel, and we're going to have some fighting words. But before we go any further, you know the routine, and if you like this video, and also please subscribe to my channel. So in this video, I'm going to talk about the recap, Jake Paul versus Tyron Woodley 2. And I'm pretty sure everybody's already seen the videos circulating saying, is this fight real, or is this fight fakes and a hoax? Well, you see the title to my video, real or fake. So, although I have my suspicions and things of that nature, what I decided to do with this video was focus more on maybe the psychology of an individual who would potentially put on a hoax fight. Like I said, there's a lot of people making videos, a lot of people throwing out their viewpoints and, look at his hand dropping and things of that nature. Well, because so many people are doing that, I really didn't want to do that. So I guess my question is Tyron Woodley the type of guy that would take a dive? And I gotta be honest with you, I think he is the type of guy who would take a dive. I think he's the personality type that would take a dive. I think for the right amount of money, he would allow another man to hit him with brunt force so that he could go down. I do believe a lot of that, like, Jake definitely hit him. I'm going to get into the punch more later on in the video. So the reason why I think that Tyron Woodley is the type of personality, or is the type of person that would allow somebody to hit him for money, well, let's just see. He comes into boxing. I mean, this isn't really boxing. I'm sorry. This is just literally entertainment. This is not boxing. I don't know what this is at this point. We can credit Floyd Mayweather with this. I can tell you that. Because Mayweather versus McGregor started all this stuff. So thank you, Floyd. This is what we get. It amazed me how quickly he turned his back on MMA. Now, and if you followed Tyron Woodley's career, in which I have, and I've been watching Tyron Woodley since Strikeforce, since he was fighting Nate Marquardt, like way back in the day, okay, in lesser organizations. He's never been a guy who, he's always been about himself. He's never been about the sport, or at least he's never given off the impression that it was about the sport or anything like that. It's always been about self and self-preservation and how much can I get. As he moves on to the UFC, he starts a beef with his boss. I'm not getting enough, or you're not paying me enough attention, or, you focus more on my opponents and you focus on me. And that was always kind of like his thing, to the point where the fans just didn't like him. And, he would say, well, that's racism. And I don't believe that was racism. I believe that was you being a disgruntled employee, bleeding into the fight, basically. And as a result, the people don't necessarily like you. That's the result of it. Now, if you're going to have that personality and have that stance on things, and then you go out and you produce knockouts, you can say whatever you want. You're producing entertaining fights. But if you're not producing entertaining fights and you're coming off, they don't like me because, what I represent and who I am, and it comes across standoffish, and people aren't going to want to like you or going to want to see you fight. And then if you're quote unquote a boring fighter at that, he's always had the ability to be an exciting fighter. But there have been performances of his that lack luster. And he would always have an excuse on why it was that. Now you move forward to him leaving the UFC and going into boxing. And he didn't necessarily leave the UFC. He wasn't producing as a fighter, and that's, he got X'd, But he goes into entertainment boxing. I'm going to call it that, because I'm not going to just say it's boxing. It's entertainment boxing. It's WWE with boxing gloves on, basically. And he made it be clear. You know, it's all about money. It's all about a bag, a bag, a bag, a bag, a bag. Now, if you notice, there's a progression of change in attitude with Tyron Woodley throughout the years. Now he's more brash. He's more street. He's completely different than what he was in the UFC. In the UFC, he was like this gloomy guy who wore shades all the time, and you know, like he wasn't animated. Didn't seem like he liked his job very much. And then you get to WWE boxing, and all of a sudden, you know, he's dropping F-bombs, and he's super tough, and he's super street. He wants to talk about his gang background and all these things. And I'm just like, okay, I get it. This is literally WWE. So he has changed in that aspect. If you just look at his past interviews, MMA, look at him currently. There's two different guys, completely two different guys. Now, you would say, well, that doesn't prove that he's a personality type. No, it doesn't prove that he's a personality type. But what it does prove is that he's willing to shift to do whatever he needs to do to be more, I don't know, I guess the heel, to be more of a personality type. So either you can ride with him, or you can go against him. You see, when he first fought Jake Paul, the MMA community thought, we'll rally behind him. He's going to make right what Jake Paul has wronged. Didn't happen. So now he's like, oh, you know, I never cared about them and all. And he literally said these things in his latest, not his latest, but in the promotion leading up to the second fight with Jake Paul. And so I'm asking myself, Tyron Woodley's an actor. He's also a stuntman. Now I'm going to get into the punch because, yeah, I'm just proving he would alter himself for this role. But now I'm going to say this. The punch. Okay, yeah, he dropped his hand. You're talking about a guy who had over 40 fights, and you drop your hand. That's a little weird. And you're fighting a novice. Not even a novice, I'm sorry. You're fighting an amateur. You're not even fighting a novice. You're fighting an amateur. Okay? And you drop your hand. We're talking about day one stuff. Day one stuff you learn in the gym. He did that. So that was sketchy. But my issue with the punch wasn't that Jake knocked him out or anything like that. It was the way Tyron went down. It's the same way that Ben Askren went down. That's what bothered me. That's what bothered me. So now let me go back to Ben Askren really quick. Normally when you see fighters' wives, they're in the stands crying, they're praying, they're covering their eyes, they're going to the back because they don't want to see the fight. You look at Ben Askren's wife, she's having like the time of her life while her husband's laying face down on a canvas. Which makes me wonder, was that real or not? Now let's skip to Tyron Woodley. He falls the same way that Ben Askren falls, which is a little sketchy. Now, yeah, okay, we have knockouts all the time, and people fall in dramatic ways all the time. But 3 times in a row, people have fallen very dramatically with Jake Paul. So now I'm just like, you know, like these are dramatic knockouts. They're not just regular knockouts. Deontay Wilder, those are regular knockouts. These aren't regular knockouts. These are very dramatic knockouts. Falling face first. You know, like, and on top of that, when you look at the second fight with Tyron Woodley and Jake Paul, it was a much sloppier fight. So Tyron claimed the whole time, and he's very adamant about, oh, I was working out the entire time. No, you weren't, because you're actually, your body doesn't look the same. The first fight, he was like ripped up. The second fight, he's pudgy. So no, you're not working out as hard as you were the first fight. You weren't. Okay, you made weight, but you weren't. And sidebar, somebody made a comment and said, oh, these guys are the same size, and you said that Jake Paul is bigger than... No. I'm saying naturally he's bigger than Tyron Woodley. That's what I said. You're talking about a guy who's well over 200 pounds naturally. I never said he was bigger the day of or during the fight, or I'm sorry, before the fight, in the weigh-in. I just said naturally he's the bigger guy. That's what I meant by that. Now, back to what I was saying originally. The way he falls, it's just not natural. I'm sorry. It's not the most natural thing. And yeah, you can't really predict how a person's going to fall. That's true. But we're talking 3 times in a row now, somebody has fallen face first. Now, I'm going to leave the first one alone because he did walk into that. So part of that was Jake's punch. The other part was just him being a basketball player or a football player, whatever the heck he was. But Ben Askren and Tyron Woodley know better. They've been in fights. Ben Askren fought Robbie Lawler. Now, a lot of you guys are boxing people, so you may not know who Robbie Lawler is. He's a monster. That's what he is. And he's primarily a boxer. He will throw a kick here and there, but he's 9 times out of 10 is going to use his hands the entire fight in MMA. Okay? He's not going to wrestle you down. He does know how to wrestle, but he's not going to wrestle you down. He's not going to kick that much. He's going to box the entire time. He's going to slip punches. He's going to stay in the pocket, and he's going to counter. That's what he's going to do. And you mean to tell me that Ben Askren can get through an entire fight with Robbie Lawler, but he cannot see a punch coming from Jake Paul? I'm sorry, I don't believe that. Between Ben Askren and Tyron Woodley, there's like 80 fights or something like that, maybe even a little bit more. Neither one of you can see what this amateur is doing. I'm sorry, I just don't believe that. And then both of you go down face first. I'm sorry, I just don't believe that. And this fight was so much more sloppy than the first one. You know, Tyron was a lot more crisp than the first one. And now you're telling me that you've been working out the entire time, even though you're a lot more pudgy the second time around, and you make a sloppier fight? If both, and Jake Paul's in his second training camp, you know, he was going to fight Tommy Fury. Why are you sloppier? Why do you look tired? Why are you standing flat-footed? For it, you know, you're a professional fighter. I'm talking to Tyron Woodley right now. You're a professional fighter. Why are your feet so close together? Why are you standing straight up? Yeah, you're to the side, but you're literally standing straight up. Your legs are parallel. Look, people, please look at his legs. They're parallel. They're not in a fighter stance. His legs are not in a fighter stance. Certain things just don't add up. And he's standing up straight. Why are you standing up straight? Keep in mind, you're fighting a taller fighter, but you're not throwing any punches at the time. I'm going to get down low. Keep in mind, he's taller than me. He's got to come to me. So it would be best if I stay down here. I know he knows that. You know that. So again, I got to ask, some of these things are not adding up. They're just not adding up. If you are the type to do that, not cool. And then basically you stole people's money. So that's really not cool. Now, is Jake Paul the type that would ask for that? Yeah, he's not a boxer. He's not a professional athlete. He's an entertainer, and he's a heel. He's a villain. That's what he is, and that's all he's made himself out to be. How does he get opponents? He talks trash about them in social media. And he's only going after the MMA community. And he's going after people who get paid less. Why? So I can pay you more so that I can do something dramatic to you. I can knock you out. And you can get a bag, and I can get a bag. Agreed? With that being said, I only have a few more seconds to talk about this, because honestly, I'm kind of disgusted with this fight. I do believe we will see Jake Paul and Tyron Woodley working together in the future. Not necessarily in a boxing match, or not necessarily boxing each other, but I feel like we'll see them in the future working side by side in some capacity, because they seem to be pretty buddy-buddy after that fight. Also during the promotion a little bit. Yeah, he bought him a watch and but the back and forth was different this time. Just a lot of things were different. Almost like they had a backroom conversation. So those are my thoughts. I am curious to hear what you all have to say. You know the routine. Please drop them down below. and like, and also please subscribe.